Brian.
Clint.
Everything is expensive.
Even our spiffy new haircuts.
Here's the good news. The cars behind us are here to prove that if you want a performance car, things can still be affordable.
Moderately affordable.
Moderately, sort of, kind of affordable.
But that's what we're here to find out today at the Edmunds test track. Which of these vehicles is going to offer you the best bang for your buck? And to do that, we're going to put them through a series of objective and subjective tests.
We're going to have a lot of fun today, basically. We have 0 to 60 runs, a timed autocross, and some good old-fashioned hard driving as well.
Now, all these vehicles, they've all got 4 cylinders, they've all got manual transmissions, and they're all ready to have a good time. So let's not delay anymore and get right into it.
First up is the Honda Civic Si, the cheapest car here and unfortunately the only one on all-season tires. Summer rubber is no longer an option from the factory, so the Civic is a true underdog today. Now let's get started with our first test, the 0 to 60 run. First up, the Honda Civic Si.
Up next is the BRZ TS. We turned in our long-term BRZ recently, but this is our first crack at the new TS variant, and we're eager to see if those upgrades can make a real difference.
The Hyundai Elantra N is one of the best horsepower per dollar values on sale today, but let's see how it handles itself on the test track.
Next up is everyone's favorite convertible, or should I say semi-convertible, since this is an RF club trim, the Mazda Miata. It's a wee bit expensive for this test, we know, but the good news is that there's a mechanically identical soft top version that is much more reasonably priced.
We drive cars and host YouTube videos for a living, which means we're not the best at math. So let's keep this simple. The winning car in each category gets the most points, and the last place gets the fewest. Don't worry, we'll keep track so you don't have to. Next up, the Autocross, driven by our Director of Vehicle Testing, Jonathan.
3, 2, 1, go. Dragged on the start of it.
Yeah, a little bit. He's gonna have to get that back. Launch control on a car with a stick is not easy.
No, it's got all that power too, just through the front wheels.
The front end of this car is just so buttoned up.
Yeah, it's front wheel drive, but it doesn't feel like it's gonna oversteer all the time like the Civic does.
Look at how clean that was.
I would also say that this car sounds by far the best out here. You know, the nice little poppies from the exhaust. Pop, 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 pop.
I almost forgot, I gotta time it.
I know. Here we go.
45.91.
3, 2, 1, go. Good launch.
Really solid launch.
Now, this was my pick before we started to be the quickest.
You're calling that a little early, aren't you?
I believe in it already. It's so tidy.
Let's not forget, it's a bigger car than the Miata. And this is not a huge autocross. I wonder if that's gonna matter.
But
that looks really tidy.
BRZ's true driver's car. And it's one of the funnest rides around an autocross that you can have, just because of the way the steering and everything else comes together.
It looks fantastic too, which scores it 0 extra points.
And this one's also got good tires on it.
Coming all the way home. Whoa! 46.22.
All right, Jonathan. 3, 2, 1, go. Look at that roll.
Gosh, so much.
You know, they can make the Miata suspension tighter, but I think that you would sort of lose what the Miata is. That body roll in that car is a feature, it's not a bug.
Perfect straightaway for second gear there.
I love how he lets the tail hang just a little. Just a little. Oh, look at it lean. Go, little car.
Oh, man. A little puff of smoke coming off the back of it. That's fantastic.
If we ran this all day, that front left tire would be in trouble.
We'd be having a hard time.
Here we go.
Okay, here we go, here we go.
Oh.
46.66.
3, 2, 1, go.
of the game here, all season tires.
This thing bogs down at the start. Doesn't quite rev like you want it to.
Apparently we're not subtracting any time for cones today.
We're not subtracting time for cones today.
Hey, he doesn't know what the limit is if he can't find the limit.
Even the rev matching it has won't really help it here, because he's just pretty much in
This is the finesse right there. 1, 2, avoided the second cone that time around.
Yeah, he missed it when it wasn't in the right spot.
That turn right there is where you get all of your time. If the car stays nice and poised, you're gonna be just fine.
But this one doesn't, because no summer tires.
We'll see. That looked clean.
All right, here we go, through the chicane.
Good momentum, let's watch the line. Time. 49.37.
After the 0 to 60 in the Autocross, here's what we're looking at. In last place is the Civic with 2 points, and oh boy, this is fun. The Subaru, Hyundai, and Mazda all have the exact same acceleration time at 6.4 seconds, so they score the same amount in that category. But the Autocross sorts them out with the Miata in third, the BRZ in second, and the Elantra N in first. Now we're going to take them around our handling course and tell you what they're like to drive. This will be the final section in which the cars can earn points.
Every story needs an underdog, and today that underdog is the Honda Civic Si.
Yeah, definitely the slowest car here. Also the cheapest though, so it is the most affordable, but I think that at this price point, it's actually starting to sort of strain what affordability means. It's about $30,000 for this vehicle.
It's crept up in price in the last few years.
But as it's crept up in price, that performance hasn't really increased.
No.
The Civic Si has made 200 horsepower for like the past 3 generations. And I think we've tested them over the years and haven't found that they've gotten any quicker. And in a performance car challenge, that lack of speed really hurt the Si.
The biggest issue is that Honda has put this car in a penalty box. You can no longer get a summer tire option from the factory. So we had to run this car on all seasons today. And you can say, if you're buying a car around this money, just for performance reasons, the all-season tires just don't keep up. They don't.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that you are getting with this car, though, is all the good stuff of a Civic. So it's pretty comfortable, it's day-to-day really livable. It can't quite keep up, both figuratively and literally. So it's going to finish in last place for us. But, I don't want anyone to go a last place finish here means that it's not a good car, because I think we both like it.
Oh, I love it. It's still putting a smile on my face. I mean, the gear shift is fantastic. It's got rev matching, which is great to help you learn if you're new to driving a manual. The engine does not sound good, but the steering is great. The bones of this car are there. It's just, it doesn't have what it takes to go against everything else we brought today.
Okay, so we're moving into the Mazda Miata, which is third place after our first 2 tests, but you can't have an affordable performance car test without a Miata.
This one, the RF Club, is the most expensive car here. But let's be fair. You can get this exact car, the same mechanicals with the Club, with a soft top for a whole lot cheaper. Roughly the same price as the Civic Si, and for that being about the same price, this ground stomped the Honda today.
I think that the thing that I enjoy the most about the Miata is how pure the driving experience is. So Mazda, they pay so close attention to things like driving position, to things like how the steering feels, even something like the body roll, right? Like, I think we both drove this car and were sort of surprised at how much body roll it actually has.
Yeah.
But the more you drive it, the more that you realize that that's sort of built in on purpose so that the car is communicating with you. Now, if we had sort of a wish list for the Miata, it would start with that price. But then other than that, it still holds such a unique place in the automotive world that, I mean, we both said that we love the Si, but I think I love the Miata a fair bit more than that car.
Here we are in the BRZ.
The BRZ TS. So at first when I got behind the wheel of this vehicle, I got quite upset because you look at it and there are STI badges on the starting button, on the cluster, and it's not an STI.
TS stands for tuned by STI, but it should stand for crock of shit, because that's infuriating. As enthusiasts, we want a full STI model, but you're not gonna get it. You get this instead. The good news is this car is lovely to drive.
I was mad, but I wasn't mad for too long because the BRZ is just such a great car, and the TS kind of takes it up another notch. Out here on the track is where you're really gonna feel the difference with the TS package and what it adds. It just feels a bit more stable and more buttoned up than your standard BRZ.
I love it. I mean, something about it, oh man, it clicks. Everything clicks. You were saying earlier that this really reveals who you are as a driver, and there's just not a lot to get in the way of that.
Yeah, it's like a mirror. So if you make a mistake, the car is going to tell you. If you dump the clutch too hard, it's going to spin the tires. And then, you know, I would say that it doesn't have crazy grip, even though the steering is really good. And what that does is it makes you, as a driver, really have to clean up how you interact with the vehicle.
Without a doubt, one of the best performance cars on sale today, made even better by these enhancements.
Clint, there's only one right way to start our time in the Elantra N, and that is with a little lift off here and poppity pop 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 poppity pop pop pop.
Oh my God. Okay, let me be serious for a second so I can just smile the whole time wearing this thing. When it comes to horsepower per dollar, this is one of the best in the game. No questions asked.
Yeah, by far the most powerful vehicle in this test. Although strangely, right, not the quickest from 0 to 60, although it made up for that in the Autocross.
It did, and it makes up for it with freaking fun, man. Like, that's one of the things it's part of this experience today. How much fun are we having in this car? And in this, it's crazy.
It's got like all these little gadgets and sort of gizmos throughout the cabin that just make you smile. We have these like weirdly blue colored N buttons on the steering wheel to get to your drive mode.
The graphics shoot fire when you put it in the drive mode. And I love that it's customizable. This is the only car here that you can dial in the steering, the engine, the exhaust, all of it is, and the suspension too.
Yeah, it's got the most sort of goodies in it. It's almost like, you know, Hyundai, very new to the performance car game, way newer than the other vehicles that we've had here. And it's kind of like the Hyundai engineers were like, what are all the fun ideas that we have?
Yes.
And we're just gonna throw them all into this car. And then the crazy thing too is that car that they're making doesn't cost a ton of money. Like this level of adjustability, this level of performance and power at this price point, neither of us have felt like this car was overpriced at all.
It's easily one of the best front wheel drive cars I've ever driven by a long shot.
And that makes it a really good foil against the BRZ. I'm not quite sure even now which one's gonna end up on top for me.
But we get to find out.
And we had a lot of fun doing it.
After driving all 4 cars, we have the Civic in last place and the Miata in third. The BRZ and the Elantra N are only separated by 1 point, so picking a winner will come down to which one we prefer to drive more. Well, now that we're in our Fast and the Furious cool guy poses, let's pick a winner.
These two vehicles were leading after the first 2 challenges, so it's fitting that they're here at the end, and basically it's going to boil down to which one did we like more.
We both love the regular BRZ. TS kicks it up in a notch that we both really appreciate. It's close to rear wheel drive perfection, but I love that it's the slightest bit sketchy because it could go from a good day to a bad day with one bad move. And that kind of makes the car great, doesn't it?
I also like that these two are here at the end because we have one rear-wheel drive car, one front-wheel drive car. And I would say that if your mind is made up and you're like, I want a rear-wheel drive car, get the BRZ.
Great,
if I want a front-wheel drive car, get the Elantra, and you'll be super happy in both cases.
So walk me through the Elantra then.
The Elantra is just, I mean, you can tell right now, right? I just can't stop smiling when I think about the Elantra. It is so fun to drive. It's like a group of engineers got into a room and we're like, how can we make the most fun car possible? And I was afraid that it would feel sort of gimmicky, right? Because it has a lot going on. It's got all that adjustability. It's got all the pop-pops from the exhaust. But then you get behind the wheel and you're like happy every single time. You drive down the street, you're happy. You drive on a track, you're happy. It's just, it's a little artificial. Maybe not like as pure as the BRZ. This is like the organic sort of performance car driving experience. But this one feels engineered just to make you smile. And that's why, for me, I'd go with the Elantra N.
Yeah, I think this is the best performance car under $40,000.
And I would wager that it can also compete pretty well against some things that cost more than $40,000. Maybe that's something we should find out.